Did you have another career before becoming a writer?
I did. So before I was a writer, I was actually a lawyer.
Okay. Okay.
So I was practicing civil rights litigation and everything was going well. And then the doctor said, you can't practice anymore.
Bookaholics, today we have author Sarah Staggs, who is bringing us a novel called Uncontrollable, but it is based on some real life experiences. Sarah, welcome to the Bookaholic podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So, Uncontrollable, I think that's a great title for this book. And I just want you to tell us a little bit about the Uncontrollable story.
Sure. So Uncontrollable is about a woman named Casey, and she seems to have it all together. She has a bustling work life. She has a wonderful marriage, two lovely children. She also has epilepsy, and her epilepsy is getting worse and worse. And her doctor tells her that if she doesn't get control of her seizures, she'll probably die.
Okay.
And so she is at a crossroads. Does she go on and just keep going with her career and everything that she actually wants? Or does she go and deal with her health?
Right.
And the decision that she makes has long-lasting repercussions that she never could have imagined.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like a gripping story that I would like to read. But as I take in my notes about the story, that's based a little bit on you, correct?
Yes. So some of the medical scenes are autofiction, so autobiographical fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, the marriage, the backstory, the children, all of the rest of it is just fiction.
Right, right. But you could relate to the protagonist because do you have epilepsy?
I do.
Okay,
I do
yes.
have epilepsy. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So you definitely could give first point of view for this particular character. And how has being an epileptic affected you? Did you have another career before becoming a writer?
I did. So before I was a writer, I was actually a lawyer.
Okay. Okay.
So I was practicing civil rights litigation and everything was going well. And then the doctor said, you can't practice anymore. During my second pregnancy. They said it's too dangerous for you and the baby. And so,
yes. Oh, you were carrying a child at the
I was.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
I honestly think if it had been just me, I might have ignored it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Baby.
Yeah, I can see somebody maybe, thinking that, and I've only seen a few seizures in my time, but they just they look like they're a massive medical episode at the time. So how does that, once you have an epileptic seizure, how does one recover from an episode?
So there are about 40 different types of seizures. I think the ones that you're talking about are called clonic seizures.
Okay, or
You've
grand
seen
mal.
people fall to the ground. Yeah, they used to be called grand mal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And now they're called clonic. And so it takes a while. It takes about a day to recover from a tonic-clonic seizure. Yeah.
Right.
But
Now
there
that's not the
are-
kind you had, right?
When I was in my early 20s, I had tonic-clonic seizures, but now I have complex partial seizures.
Okay.
So those are
Okay.
seizures that are also called focal seizures.
Okay.
They start at one part of the brain.
Got you. But it's still an exhausting and debilitating medical episode, correct?
Oh, definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. And
Yeah.
I mean, I can see what your heart rate definitely goes up, the blood pressure goes up, all of these things that could lead to other medical major episodes as well.
Yeah, that's very true. And one thing though that I have found is that people don't know what to do if they see someone having a seizure.
No, they don't.
So I'm happy to talk about that at some point.
Yes. Well, what I'm trying to set the stage for is that our character in the book, if she's having all of these type of episodes kind of related to what we just got finished discussing, definitely you have to think about how does the character go from, okay, I've got this exciting career, my doctor has told me this, but how does one self-care that? Because epilepsy doesn't go away, does it?
No, not usually. Sometimes seizures can be controlled by medication, but generally there's no cure.
Right. And I thought medication could kind of stave them off to where they wouldn't happen so often.
Yes. For about 66% of people who are diagnosed with epilepsy, medication controls their seizures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So now with that said, we'll have to read the book to find out what does our attorney in the book choose to do. But let's talk about Sarah. So what did you choose to do with your career?
Well, like I said, I just had to stop practicing law. I went into my neurologist's office and I had a bustling practice. And then he said, you can't practice anymore. It's too dangerous for the baby.
Right.
And so I left knowing I had to close my practice up.
Gosh, that must have been very difficult because to go through law school, and that's a hill to climb and all of those things. How did you cope? We also talk a lot about mental health on this channel, on this podcast. So how did you cope after that?
Yeah, mental health is a huge issue with people with epilepsy. A lot of people with epilepsy have anxiety. A lot of people have depression. And I've experienced both. It was very sad, and I actually was depressed for a while, knowing that I wouldn't be able to practice law anymore.
Right.
And then the anxiety comes in because you never know when a seizure can happen.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, you don't, not that any of us have any control over our lives per se, but but being epileptic, you certainly don't know when the next time might come that you have a seizure and where you might be and all of these things. Would you get any help? People are just staring, all kinds of things. So I can see how that can be mentally, a mental health issue could come about because of that. Now, so now are you a full-time writer?
Yes, I am. I'm working on my second novel.
Okay. Well, give us a little bit of a teaser about that second novel.
So it's a young adult novel, a YA novel. Yeah, and it is a LGBTQ novel about a teen in Texas who has to move. Can't get medical care anymore. And so he moves to Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And he has this whole new lease on life. And it's sort of his journey.
Okay, so now let's go back. So what made you decide to write a YA book? And you had just written what, contemporary fiction?
Yeah, contemporary upmarket fiction.
Yeah. So
what made me decide to write a YA? Yeah, that's a great question. So my youngest son is trans.
Okay.
And I wanted to write something to represent the trans community. I'm from Texas, and the laws down there are very anti-trans. And so I wanted to write something to sort of represent my son and people who can't really speak for themselves or maybe are too afraid to.
Right.
And especially teenagers. And talking about mental health, if your trans child doesn't have support at home or at school or in the outside community, there's a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety and even suicide attempts that come with being transgender and not supported.
Right.
So I wanted to write a book that teens could look at and see that it's going to be okay.
Right. Exactly. Well, we may have to invite you back on to the Bookaholic podcast for Pride Month to do a segment about that book.
Yeah.
Because Texas Texas is terrible. I'm gonna say it.
It kind of rhymes a bit.
Texas is terrible.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt out of that.
Maybe so, but yeah, they seem, they're banning books and all of these things, and the trans people do have to have special health care needs, and for states or government entities to deny people health care is barbaric, I think. So definitely, I think your book will certainly help people and to go towards that movement and enlighten people, about the trans community. I think a lot of things have been said recently. People are thinking, oh, people are just all of a sudden becoming trans, there's only two genders. And it's like, well, what are you saying? There's not three genders. There's still two genders, even though somebody may be trans. It doesn't change. So I don't even know what half of these people are talking about, but I do know people need more and better understanding. And it is certainly good for parents and advocates to tell the trans story.
Yes, I agree. So that was why I am writing a YA novel.
Yes, exactly. And what do you see your career going into in the future?
Well, I mean, I'll stick with fiction. And I like writing YA, and I like writing upmarket.
Yeah.
Books that speak to book clubs and are accessible to everyone. So that is, I think, those are the two genres that I'll be focusing on in the future.
Well, I think we'll be better off for it. And I can't wait to get my hands onto Uncontrollable. It sounds like a fascinating read. And like I said, there's an open invitation for you, maybe for Pride Month. If your book is out in time to interview before that, it would be great to have you back on.
Well, it'd be great to be back on. It's been so fun.
All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining the Bookaholic podcast today. And we'll have all of Sarah's contact information in the podcast show notes, as well as the YouTube channel description. Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.